Hi there, this is Neil Salvage, and welcome to this podcast, Gassing On. Yes, we're going to gas on about the world of ground gas. We're going to meet people in the industry. We're going to visit places and generally find out about interesting things that are happening, developing, and the changes that have gone on before us. So welcome on board and hope you enjoy this podcast. Good afternoon and welcome. And this afternoon I am joined by Matthew Spiller, or Matt Spiller, from Capital Valley Plastics. Good afternoon, Matt.
Good afternoon, Neil.
Where do we find you today?
I'm in sunny South Wales, in the valleys.
In the valleys. Well, I had a glorious journey over, and it's great to be here with you today. And thanks for sparing us some time to come down and have a little chat and support the podcast. So, tell me about Capital Valley. Tell me about you, Matt. What goes on here?
Well, at Capital Valley, we manufacture primarily polythene membranes for the construction industry, damp-proof cores, damp-proof membranes, vapor barriers, right through to gas-resistant DPCs and gas membranes.
So quite critical in the world of gas protection. Is it quite a big sector of your business?
I would say 15% and growing.
Right. Well, we'll talk about the growing bit later. We always like to know what's evolving. But how did your journey start into the world of plastics and gas?
Well, I come from an engineering background and ended up at a bespoke structural tensile fabric roofing company. So that was all membrane roofs, the Millennium Dome, the Eden Project. So I kind of delved into the world of membranes there. Was a technical sales manager, so provided advice to architects and clients who want all kinds of weird and wonderful projects. And because membranes are flexible, the world is their oyster, really. They can have really what they want.
And how did the ground gas sector come into your control? You're my contact here for ground gas.
Well, I saw the job of technical manager advertised at Capital Valley, and at the time they weren't really delving into the world of gas membranes, but it was being requested. So the role was a brand new one. In I came. I had to learn pretty quick. Did your A to Z.
Oh, right, yes.
With you and John.
Wow.
And a few other events at the PCA.
Excellent. Lots
of reading of standards and learning guidance from Syria and BRE. And here we are today.
Well, how long have you been in the industry now then, Matt?
6 years.
6 years in the ground gas sector.
6 years in ground gas, yeah.
Now I've met you on numerous. You sit on Syria, some guiding groups with Syria.
Yeah, a couple of guiding groups, retrofitting, and now the site guide group.
Yeah, well, I've met you on a few of those. What do you think the state of the construction sector, ground gas sector, and the guidance and regulations? How do you think that's set out at the moment?
There is good guidance out there. It's not always delivered in a way that's useful to who I would consider the relevant end user. And that's something I think we all need to work on. But the intentions are good. And an awful lot of people volunteer an awful lot of time, because no one gets paid to do these guidance meetings, and we spend hundreds of hours producing them.
If anything, it costs you to be on the groups.
You often donate. Yeah. So there are people out there with the right mindset and the best of the industry at heart, which is good. Only good things can come from that.
Well, what I like to ask as well is seeing your product. You make all these different plastics and geomembranes that go in the ground. Do you often get out to see the end product in use, in action?
Almost never, which is really frustrating.
Because I ask that, my role is predominantly with the MVQ level 2, supporting learners. And sometimes I ask the question, availability. Is it something that you develop, the training practices for your, that you offer with the products?
A little bit. We don't do an awful lot of training, and you well know you've actually run a few training sessions for us. Our route to market is slightly different to a lot of the other gas membrane suppliers in the UK. Ours goes through merchants. Right. So we're a further step away from the installer. Yeah. If they have any problems, they get in touch and we help, and we provide some guidance, our recommended installation methodology. But we very rarely are involved once the installation is underway.
Yeah, because obviously the MVQ level 2 sits there as a competency level, and is it something you mentioned to the merchants about putting these products in, or?
Absolutely, yes. I'm not sure all the merchants take it on board. I'm not sure many of them really know what I'm talking about sometimes. But we do recommend, where possible, an MVQ2 or at least an experienced gas membrane installer should be installing these products. It's more than a ground worker.
Yeah. And the other element that comes into play is the verification. Now that's been a big game changer, would you say, in the industry since 2014 when Series 735 came in?
Yeah, huge. I think that's a massive step forward. And I just hope in the next year or two we can get that incorporated into radon membrane installation as well. Because at the minute the installer pretty much signs off their own radon installations.
Yeah, well, I've asked a few of my, people that I've interviewed about verification processes and the practicalities. Is it always being carried out properly, do you think?
No, far from it. Unfortunately, like everything else, it seems to be too often in the construction industry, one on price. And you only get what you pay for. If a good, thorough pre-verification plan, the right amount of site visits and a good professional verification report at the end, that costs money. So the best verification is not necessarily going to be the cheapest.
Yeah, and I often look at that when I hear of non-qualified workforces trying to put the membranes in and, like you say, budgeted not a lot per square metre to put it in.
Correct.
There's a lot of downfall. And do you find that the people that are buying the products through the merchant will be using things like self-adhesives, top hats, preformed units? Is that a popular?
Yes, it is. Certainly with the less experienced installers, the top hats sell really well. People love the top hats. We literally sell hundreds of top hats a week.
Yeah.
Preformed corners are certainly gaining popularity. I think we got some experienced installers who like them just for speed.
Right.
If they're on a big site with lots of plots, they literally can go corner to corner and drop them in.
Yeah. Well, I always ask people about the future. What's the future for Capital Valley, for the ground gas sector that you see? What do you? Obviously, don't give any secrets away.
I could be shot.
You could be shot, but what do you see the industry? Where's it going?
It's definitely growing. I'd like to think development of brownfield and former commercial and industrial sites will be a big go-to, because we need to leave these greenbelt areas alone as much as we can. So I think there's plenty of room for growth for the whole industry. Let's just keep improving what we do, installing well, making the right membranes, getting the correct site evaluations, and for me, most importantly, training and upskilling and bringing on the future installers, membrane manufacturers, verifiers.
No, that's a key part, and it's great to hear that. So, kind of final few questions for you. What's been your most challenging job here at Capital Valley?
Oh, we got drawn into a project for Cardiff University. They had purchased some multi-million-pound microscope. I've no idea what it's to look at, but it must be something really small. And any vibration at all renders it useless.
Right.
The plot of land they purchased to install it on is literally a railway siding with a live railway track. So they found methane and carbon dioxide. They brought us in early on, along with verification and an earthquake specialist from California to consult on eliminating the vibration from the trains. So that was really interesting.
Was it?
A very bizarre project.
Was it successful?
Yeah, fantastic.
Well, it's always
costly, but fantastic.
Costly, but fantastic. Hope you kept the job file in case another one comes up.
The Californian consultant charged $10,000 a day.
Wow.
Yeah, which was more than my fee.
Well, I think we should head off to California. I'm not saying that Wales has got nice weather, but I think California might just tip the balance on that. Matt, if anybody wants to get hold of you, how do they find you?
Well, the best way would be to just Google us on capitalvalleyplastics.com.
And with emails, you're happy to take them if I put a little banner up for you at the end?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm available on technical@capitalvalleyplastics.com.
Brilliant. Well, I'll put a little banner up at the end of the slides for us. But Matt, thank you for your time today. It's been great to meet you as ever.
Thank you, Neil.
I'm sure we'll catch up soon on a site or a muddy field somewhere or a training room, hopefully in the not too distant future. Thanks,
Okay,
Matt.
thanks, Neil.
Cheers. So thanks for joining us and look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye now.